Hey, and welcome back to the Midweek Level Up. I'm your host, T Jane, and I'm so glad you're here. So grab your coffee, your tea, your Mike and Ike's, whatever you've got, because today we are getting into something I think a lot of us have either experienced, witnessed, or if we're being really honest, participated in. We're talking about mean girl energy, and specifically why it is absolutely not the look for a woman who's trying to level up, especially as a Christian woman. And listen, I'm not coming at this from the outside looking in. I have a little personal history with this topic. So let's get into it. Okay, so when I say mean girl, I'm not talking about the movie. I'm not talking about the obvious bully. I'm talking about the subtle stuff. The group chat that gets lit up after she leaves the room, the bless her heart with the side eye, being sweet to someone's face and then being surgical behind their back. And when I say surgical, I mean precise, intentional. She knows exactly where to cut to do the most damage. It's the compliment that leaves you feeling small. She's so confident for her size. It's the prayer request that's really just gossip with a bow on it. Y'all just pray for her. I probably shouldn't say much, but it's the strategic leaving out. That's not an accident. That's a choice. And she's usually doing all of it with a smile. That's mean girl energy. And here's what makes it different from just being mean sometimes. It's a strategy. It needs an audience. Someone always has to be less than for it to work. Proverbs 11 and 12 says, whoever belittles his neighbor lacks sense, but a man of understanding remains silent. James 3 and 5, 3, 5, and 6 says, the tongue is a fire, small, but it can set a whole forest ablaze. So let me give the distinction between mean girl versus being mean. Now, I want to pause here because I think this is really important. There's a difference between being a mean girl and just being mean sometimes. And I don't want us to blur those two things because I was mean. I want to be clear about that, but I was not a mean girl. Here's my story. So I was bullied. I dealt with rejection. My self esteem was on the floor. And what that produced in me was this sharp, snapping version of myself, especially around certain people. I wasn't running a social strategy. I wasn't trying to build a hierarchy. I was hurting. And quite frankly, hurt people hurt people. We've all heard that, but it is so true. And here's the thing I realized about myself. I wore rejection like a banner. I was walking in the rooms already expecting to be dismissed, already expecting to be rejected. And people could pick up on that energy. And instead of dealing with it, I was snapping, lashing out, and pushing people away before they could push me first. That's being mean. That's a wound that hadn't healed yet, showing up in your behavior. Being a mean girl is different. That's posture. That's calculated. It needs an audience. And here's what broke my heart when I really sat with it. Most mean girls were first wounded girls. The one who excludes people was probably excluded. The one who gossips was probably gossiped about. That behavior isn't okay, not at all. But it does tell us where the healing needs to happen. And that's where compassion and prayer comes in. So for me, the shift came when I overheard someone I admired telling someone else that I was looking for validation. It stopped me in my tracks. I mean, y'all, I was devastated because I never wanted to be that person. Because when your validation is coming from people and they sense that, it gives them power over you. And I was handing that power out freely like candy. I went to the Lord and I asked him to validate me, and he did. It sounds simple, but it was everything. When God becomes your source, when you know who you are in him, you stop needing people to confirm it. And you stop being threatened by people who seem to have what you don't. That's where the meanness lost his grip on me. So before we start looking around at who might be giving off mean girl energy in our circles, I want us to look in the mirror because Galatians 5 and 15 says, if you bite and devour one another, watch out that you are not consumed by one another. Mean girl culture doesn't just hurt the person it's aimed at, it eats the whole community. So, what does it look like to level up? This is what I really want you to walk away with today. A woman who is truly leveling up doesn't need anyone beneath her. She's too busy building. Proverbs 31 and 26 says, she opens her mouth with wisdom and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. And Romans 12:10 tells us to outdo one another, not in shade, not in gossip, but in honor. The call isn't to be soft or to be a pushover. It's to be intentional with your words, with your influence, with how you make people feel when they walk away from you. So here's the question I want to leave you with this week, and I want you to really sit with it. Is there someone in your circle who might feel less than because of how you've been showing up? And if so, what's one way you can flip that this week? And if you're the one who's been mean, not a mean girl, but mean because you're wounded, because rejection has been riding you, because your self esteem has taken some hits, can I just say, sis, take it to the Lord. Ask Him to validate you. He will. He did it for me. You're watching the midweek level up because you want more. And that woman who has more, she doesn't tear people down. She knows who she is. All right, we are leveling up. That's your word for this week. So do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and share this episode with someone who needs it. So, how will you level up this week? Drop it in the comments below. Level up. I'll see you Saturday on Giving Them Something to Talk About podcast and talk to you soon.